Hey, what's up everybody? Giovanna back again for another video, and today I am going to be bringing you guys yet another unpopular opinions video. So I posted a poll on Twitter about like 2 or 3 days ago, maybe even more than that. What type of video would you guys like to see from me this weekend? And I forgot by how much and the numbers and everything, but unpopular opinions part 2 seemed to be the popular answer. But for those of you who voted for conspiracy theories, do not get upset. I will be doing a video like that in the near future. Hopefully this week I might do a conspiracy theory video. So anyways, let's get right into the video and let's start reading your unpopular opinions. So our first unpopular opinion comes to us from Revan X. And I'm pretty sure he also left the first unpopular opinion comment on our last installment, and he was the first one we covered in our last episode. So I think that's pretty funny. But anyways, he says, I love the EU, but it had more continuity issues than Disney canon. So I could actually agree with this. You know, just basing off of the fact that the expanded universe is so ginormous. I'm pretty sure there's like over 400 books. Just the fact that it's so ginormous, and then you have the Disney canon, which is like a couple shows, like 2 shows, a season of the Clone Wars, 3 movies, actually no, 5 movies, but 3 like Skywalker Saga movies. So I could totally understand this, you know, it's just, like, don't get me wrong, I think the Disney trilogy is, like, at least, like, the sequel trilogy is really inconsistent, but I think that, you know, just basing off of the size of the expanded universe, I'm not surprised to hear that. Obviously, my opinion is less valuable because I'm not an avid EU reader myself. So you'd probably have to consult someone like Ryan or Lethal Lightning or Marjade or OG Star Wars for these types of opinions. But yeah, I think I could agree with you just because of how ginormous it is. I'm pretty sure we talked about it in the last video about the Clone Wars and the other books like how Heir to the Empire, like, it contradicts, like, the movie canon. We talked about something like this on the last installment, but still, like, pretty different. Next comes to us from Padawan of Christ. He says, Endgame is better than Infinity War. Rey is a great character. My favorite, actually. Captain America 1 is underrated. Age of Ultron is a great movie. And you might want to sit down for this one. Here's my top 3 Star Wars movies. The Rise of Skywalker, Rogue One, Attack of the Clones. And then he also goes on to do another reply saying, shoot, forgot this one. Rebels is better than the Clone Wars, except for Siege of Mandalore. That's above Rebels. So, I agree with you in some spots, and I disagree with you in some spots. So first, I don't think Endgame is better than Infinity War. I thought Endgame was kind of mediocre. I'm still a fence sitter with Endgame, but overall, I like Infinity War better. Rey's a great character. I disagree. I mean, if you think she is, I think that's obviously great, and if you can connect to Rey, I think that's awesome, but she never just rung with me. She just felt kind of overpowered. You know, it felt like she didn't really struggle at all, and all of the struggles that she did have were in her past life. It seemed like it was more off screen than on screen. Her struggles were more talked about and displayed off screen than on screen, if that makes any sense. Captain America 1 is underrated. I think I have seen Captain America 1, but not unless I was very little. I don't really remember. So I can't really comment on that. Age of Ultron is a great movie. The top 3 Star Wars movies, I think The Rise of Skywalker is actually the worst Star Wars movie, but that's okay. Rogue One, I'm not too hot on Rogue One. And Attack of the Clones. Those are actually, like, some of my least favorite Star Wars movies. Attack of the Clones is definitely higher up there on my list if you saw my letterboxd on my Twitter, but The Rise of Skywalker and Rogue One are towards, like, the end of my list. Attack of the Clones is more up there, but I think Attack of the Clones is actually the worst of the prequels. So, that's just me. And then, as for his other opinion, Rebels is better than the Clone Wars. I still haven't seen Rebels, so I can't talk, but honestly, like, Rebels, like, doesn't look too interesting. I heard they basically, like, that it was kind of stupid that they revitalized Ahsoka and whatever, but I don't know. I have to check it out for myself. Next comes to us from The Last Jedi fan. And he says, let me think of something outside of Star Wars. Iron Man 3 is the best MCU movie. The first 2 Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies are much better than Homecoming and Far From Home. And Tobey Maguire is much better than Tom Holland. And then he goes on to say even more stuff. Joker is overrated, and the McDonald's version of Parasite, a much better movie that came out the same year that dealt with very similar themes. Endgame wasn't that great, and Age of Ultron is much better. So, I agree, and I disagree in some spots. Iron Man 3 is the best MCU movie. I don't know if the best, but I haven't seen it, so everyone can make fun of me. It's like the only movie, like, actually, no, I haven't seen a lot of MCU movies. The first two Sam Raimi, again, I haven't seen, I think I saw the first, The Amazing Spider-Man. I think I saw that one. It was, whatever Spider-Man movie was playing on my TV the other day is what I saw. And it had Tobey Maguire's, I think it was Tobey Maguire's, Spider-Man. But yeah, after, like, basing it off of, like, that one movie, I definitely think I might like Tobey Maguire more than, Tom Holland. The thing is, I've never been a huge Spider-Man fan. I didn't really appreciate Spider-Man. He kind of seemed like the annoying teenager of the MCU. But yeah, I can kind of agree with you there. Joker is overrated in the McDonald's version of Parasite. Well, obviously Parasite is like one of the best movies ever made, it seems to me. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna, because it's on Hulu. I don't think Joker's overrated. I also don't think it's underrated. I think it's like kind of in the middle. I definitely think that Joker deserves a lot of the praise it gets. Like, don't get me wrong. As a movie, it fits really well, but the thing is, as a comic book movie, I don't know. That's one thing I've been thinking about. It's not like good in the comic book universe, especially like how we saw Joker in Dark Knight. I think that's more of like a comic book version. But I do like how we got into the deeper themes of like a poor man who struggles, like, who's literally a psycho, you know. And at the end of the movie, you know, it's pretty controversial, but I didn't mind it too much. But I need to see Parasite. I obviously feel like that's going to be better than Joker. And I know they deal with similar issues about, like, socioeconomic status and stuff, at least from what I've heard. Endgame wasn't that great. Age of Ultron is much better. I agree. I think Endgame was my least favorite Avengers movie. But yeah, Endgame to me was kind of mediocre. But then again, as I said before, I'm still, like, on the fence with liking it or not. You know, it's not terrible. It's not like it's unbearable. But I think you guys get my point. Next comes to us from Scooby. He says, The Amazing Spider-Man and Venom is actually pretty good. So I think what I was talking about before, I think I've actually seen The Amazing Spider-Man, whatever the hell was on my TV. Yeah, I could say, I thought it was pretty good. And Venom is pretty good. I've never seen Venom, but from what I've heard, I heard it sucked. But I'm still going to try and watch it anyway. Venom actually seems really interesting. He seems like a cool villain. Next comes to us from Ryan Dyer. I like The Force Awakens, just not the other two. Unpopular because The Force Awakens is still Disney Star Wars. Yeah. So over the years, I've seen people kind of like, you know, move away from saying The Force Awakens was good because, you know, the point was being brought up that it's set up for The Last Jedi, for Luke Skywalker to be shit in The Last Jedi. So I can agree with that. But yeah, I like The Force Awakens. And you know what? I'm falling for that Hollywood bullshit that they just remake stories over and over again with just different characters, and that's why people like it, and that's the only reason why I think it's good. Because one of my second favorite Star Wars movie of all time is A New Hope. So, and as you guys know, Force Awakens is literally a carbon copy of A New Hope. So, I'm kind of a sucker for it for that reason. But other than that, it's not too good, you know what I mean? But I do like it. I hate to admit it, I do like it. Next comes to us from Wookie93. Clone Wars Season 7 is not that great, and is only a half-assed hollow shell of what it could have been. And it's been created solely to suck desperate fans back into the Star Wars bubble. So I actually can kind of agree with you. I think Clone Wars was very up and down. I recently just finished it. Well, I caught up on the episodes that I needed to see. But there were some episodes that I didn't even finish because I was like, this is so fucking boring. And you know, it kind of felt like a kid show. You know, I was much more interested in Clone Wars when I was like 5 or 6 when it like first came out. You know, but I don't think Season 7 was that great. I think the ending was cool. I mean, obviously they couldn't really do much for an ending, but I appreciated it regardless. I appreciated that it was there. But yeah, I think that's the direction like that Disney and Lucasfilm are going in. It's going to be they're going to be making Star Wars content to suck people back in, like kind of what they're doing with The Mandalorian Season 2 is that they're bringing back Ahsoka, Rex, and Boba Fett. Like, I don't know if I actually want to see that. Obviously, you know, I'm going to have to wait and see how it turns out. If it's good, I'm going to be all in. But yeah, I agree, you know, that they're going to try and do this to like make money again because I think they realize that they did lose money, like, not doing what the fans wanted. So I think that's what they're trying to do. Honestly, I don't even think Clone Wars needed a 7th season to begin with. I really don't. I think, you know, I haven't really watched Season 6 too much, but in all honesty, they probably could have just stopped it at 6. I didn't think the Clone Wars needed another season. Next comes to us from William James. Rise of Skywalker is the best sequel, the best of a bad bunch, but the best nonetheless. Metal Gear 5 is the most mature narrative Kojima has made so far. Batman v Superman is better than half of the MCU. John Wick 3 is not a good film. Resident Evil 4 is overrated. So I obviously can't speak on Metal Gear 5 and Resident Evil 4 because I just don't game. But as for your first opinion, I disagree. I think it's still The Force Awakens. I'd even go as far as saying like Last Jedi was better than The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker was just such a careless movie. It didn't have a plot. It didn't have a purpose. It was literally just there to reel back in the fans. It tried to retcon Last Jedi, but it didn't really work. And with it trying to retcon Last Jedi, it dug the hole even deeper. Like, Last Jedi started digging a hole down a deep path. Then The Rise of Skywalker made it worse by making it such a shit movie, and nothing had a point. I think it even had more plot holes than The Last Jedi. I think Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars movie ever. Batman v Superman is better than half the MCU. I don't know how much I agree with that. I don't even know if I've seen half of the MCU movies that exist. But Batman v Superman was pretty atrocious. John Wick 3 is not a good film. I completely disagree. I love John Wick 3. It might be my favorite John Wick movie ever. I was surprised, though, to hear that it made more than Endgame opening week. Because when I went to go see it, I mean, to be fair, it was a school night. And it was like 11 o'clock at night when I went to go see it. But my theater wasn't that crowded. But everyone seemed to enjoy it. My dad, who's never seen a John Wick movie, enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed it. And the only John Wick movie I've actually seen was John Wick 2. So, yeah, I don't think... I disagree with you a bit. Next comes to us from Dylan Kachena. Shinedown is one of the greatest bands of all time, and Brent Smith is one of the best vocalists of all time. Again, I've never listened to any Shinedown. I've actually never heard of Shinedown. But, I respect your opinion no matter what it is. Next comes to us from Nick Nigerian, and I think the rest of his username is laughs at his own tweets or something. The Force Awakens is the best Star Wars movie. By finding the balance of taking typical Star Wars storytelling and being able to blend it with modern filmmaking worked like a charm and was the perfect way to excite audiences about the galaxy again. Holds up extremely well too. So I think this is like one of the most interesting takes I've ever heard in the Star Wars land. Personally, I think that's what made Force Awakens like bad for me, was the fact that it completely ripped off A New Hope, but it tried to modernize the shit out of Star Wars. Like, it tried to make it like those MCU movies that make money and that are beloved by general audiences. The thing is, Star Wars is not for general audiences and should never be for general audiences. It's really made, I know everyone's like, oh, it's made for kids, it's made for 40-year-old nerds. In my opinion, it's made for 12-year-old nerds. That's in my opinion, it's just made for nerds. It's like, it rings with nerds the most. It doesn't ring with most average moviegoers, at least that I know. You know, but still, I don't think... But I do respect, like, where you're coming from, thinking it's the best, because it does balance out, like, a Star Wars story, because copied A New Hope. And it does balance out the fact that it's, like, a Marvel movie. But that's actually what I didn't like about it. But regardless, I respect your opinion. Next comes to us from Springtime Riot Kitty. 2008 Clone Wars Grievous is better than the OG Clone Wars Grievous because the 2008 version is more in line with the version presented in the prequel trilogy, as well as having an actual personality besides being a killing machine. So I think I could agree with you here. I mean, I haven't seen any Grievous in the Clone Wars for so long. Not even joking. Like, I haven't watched, like, Grievous in the Clone Wars since I was, again, like 6 or 7 years old. But yeah, that does sound pretty accurate, so I could agree with you. Next comes to us from Immortal Beloved Poet/Author and ... I can't read the rest. The OT is overrated and overhyped. I disagree, but I could also kind of agree. I think while it is like overhyped, I think it definitely deserves that hype. It definitely deserves it because it changed the way Hollywood blockbusters are for a while. It changed a lot at the time it was out, at least from what I know. I wasn't even alive. But it does seem like it was the movie that at least, like, Star Wars, the original one, definitely changed the way, like, that people tell a fairy tale story about a hero, in my opinion. But I do think it gets overpraised a lot. Like, I'm pretty nitpicky when it comes to Star Wars. There are a lot of, like, technical issues with the original trilogy and just a lot of mistakes that people don't look like. Obviously, the storytelling is fantastic, but there are a lot of, like, technical issues with that movie. So, yeah, I could kind of agree with you, but I do mainly disagree with you for the most part because I think it deserves a lot of the overhype it gets. Next comes to us from Darth Nikta? Don't really know how to say that. I like the bleeding of kyber crystals as it just feels very Sith or dark side. So I don't know, again, I don't know too much about like expanded lore and all that stuff, but sure, bleeding kyber crystals, I can only really, when I think of that, I picture Sith or dark side. So I could agree with you, but I don't know too much on the insane lore or whatever. Next comes to us from Obi-Wan1, and he says, I'm not saying that first word, who love Dany in Game of Thrones, just love her because they want to smash that, #facts. I've never seen Game of Thrones before, but I guess that makes sense, okay? I'm not a Game of Thrones fan, but if you Game of Thrones fans want to comment, that's great. Next, and I'm pretty sure the last one actually, comes to us from Darth Atroxa, I think that's how you say it. Harry Potter's better than Lord of the Rings. Oh shit, thank God this one is last. Well, I do respect your opinion completely. I absolutely disagree. I've seen clips and bits. I don't even think I was able to sit through a whole Harry Potter movie and not be bored as shit. I remember when I watched it when I was younger, like my family would have it on at holidays or it would just be on the TV. I'd be like, oh my God, what is it? Like I was so bored. Like Lord of the Rings, like, sure, the first 20 or 30 minutes of the Lord of the Rings movies are pretty boring, but I think just the story they tell, and then they get more emotional as it progresses through the movie and through the whole series. That's why I like Lord of the Rings better than Harry Potter. And just the storytelling and the effects, like, it's more eye-catching to me, you know? Harry Potter's just, like, wizards, blah, Dumbledore, you know, like, that's just my opinion, but I respect you regardless. Sorry, I'm sorry. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It's a bit shorter because I didn't have as much opinions to read. But let me know your guys' unpopular opinions in the comments below. And also let me know if you would like me to do a part 3. I will see you guys in another video. And peace out.